you right-click on a VM that you want to have replicated, go down to the vSphere replication option. It'll bring up a completely different box, and it'll let you choose if you want it to be quiesced, if you don't want it to be quiesced. It'll let you pick out each VMDK that's attached to it. It'll also let you indicate whether you want the VMDK to be replicated in a thin provision or a thick provision. And that's pretty much it. It takes about, well, in our environment, it takes about 3 minutes to configure. Really easy, really quick. A couple of the things that I ran into that presented a lot of problems were the database configuration. Our DBA was big on named instances. It was not big on mixed mode. These were both bad things. So we had to go back through and do a default instance and add in mixed mode. Another big thing is for the SA account, it needs to not have any spaces. For some people, that's kind of a default format for your password. Other people, not so much. Also, if you go through and you disable the replication, it is going to delete all of your files that have been replicated. So, if you go through and you replicate a 2 terabyte file server, and then you tell it to stop and remove the replication, it does delete it. I found this out the hard way. That was not fun. The next part was with large VMDKs. You have the standard rule of 248 gigs minus the 512 bytes. On top of that, you also have about 16 gigs that should be reserved for your Delta files. What SRM does is they do use those Delta files and they will occupy space on your VMDKs. And then that's what it creates to basically send the replicated volume over. So if you have your volumes at a large size, such as what we had, we were using 2040s. So we had 2040 gigs of VMDKs per our file servers. That did not work. It would error out after the first sync. So that was not fun as well. I got to put in a bug report for that, so that was kind of cool. As soon as you start things up, you might run into things that are called an unknown error has occurred, or non-fun things. What we ran into a lot of firewall issues, where either it was the university-provided Junipers, which had ports that were blocked that probably shouldn't have been, and we also ran into a bunch of Windows firewall problems. So, really take into account your firewall settings. Some of the other things, as Lauren mentioned, also look at reboots. A reboot really does seem to help. And as far as the larger disks, what we ran into was that if you had disks that were over 500 gigs, every now and then, SRM with the vSphere replication will go through and try and do a full sync. It would no longer do just the deltas, it wanted to do the full thing. Again, not fun. That's all I have, so if anybody has any questions, more than happy to. Yes, sir.
I didn't catch it. What's your name, sir?
I'm Kyle Ruddy.
Kyle?
Yes.
Ruddy, you said?
Yes, Ruddy, R-U-D-D-Y. I'm also one of the VMUG leaders here for the Indy group. Yes, sir.